Welcome back to Physics with Miyoshi. We're here to talk about fluids a little bit and just a little bit of introduction. So let's chat about that real quickly. Fluids, first of all, what they are materials that can flow. Examples that you might think about are liquids and gases. I know that seems kind of odd that gases and liquids be put together in the same category, but they are both different types of fluids. Then we also need to talk about density. Now you've probably heard about density. Density is merely our mass per volume. And especially in fluids, we talk about the Greek symbol rho represents density. And then we have our mass divided by volume. Mass is usually a lowercase m and volume is usually an uppercase V. If you want to talk about a ratio, there's a thing called specific gravity. And you can compare then, specific gravity compares our density of an object to the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius, which is comparing our density of our object to 1,000 kilograms per meter cubed. Then of course when we talk about fluids, we also talk about pressure. Pressure is merely the force per area. Again, we've seen force before as capital F. Area is just our capital A there. The units would be newtons per meter squared. 1 newton per meter squared is a Pascal. And we also have those would be SI units. And then we also have English units. We have PSI or pounds per square inch. Now, we also have a thing called static fluids. That's just a fluid that's not moving, or it's just stationary there. It's not flowing anywhere. And we come up with this equation that says pressure 2 is pressure 1 plus rho GH. Well, what does that really mean? What that really means is we look over here and we see if we have a fluid here in this container and we have some imaginary cylinder in there, we have some pressure at some height in the fluid, and we know what that pressure is maybe, or we know the other pressure. We know the density, or we know some combination of factors in here. Then we can figure out, maybe we know the rho, we can figure out the other things in there. So this equation here just tells us that the pressure at one position, lower in this case, is equal to the pressure at another location, higher over here, plus our rho, the density of the fluid we're in, and times the g, gravitational constant, and times the h, the difference between those two places. All it's telling us then is that we do have pressure, and what that really tells us is that pressure is exerted by the fluid. We could go through all the math that talks about, it's basically Newton's second laws, and sum all our forces, and do some manipulation of this equation over here, and some Newton's laws. But right now I'm not going to do that. I just want to introduce you to a little bit more, or just a beginning introduction to fluids. And again, remember that fluids are both liquids and gases, and they follow some of these laws up here that I've talked about just briefly, and we'll talk more about them as we go along. So thanks for tuning in. We'll talk more about fluids and what they do next time on Physics with Miyoshi.